Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums, and today I have another tarot spread video. Again, as I've stated in my description box, you can use any sort of card system that you feel is preferred for you. I like to use tarot. I like the depth and nuance, and I also like using these learning tarot cards for these videos, so it makes it a little bit easier for those that maybe aren't super familiar with tarot to also garnish their own meanings from what I'm pulling and how I'm pulling these cards. So today it's a quick one. It's a 3-card spread. This is the daily inspiration spread. I think it's great to have a practice where you can either check in with yourself, maybe a weekly check-in, a daily check-in. I know some people like to pull maybe one card. This is nice because it gives you a little bit more nuance to kind of go off of. So let's talk about the spread and let's do a little sample reading. So like I said, 3-card spread. I have some longer ones for like weekly, navigation spreads and things like that that are a little bit longer. And I do like a longer spread sometimes, not always. I'm having a hard time shuffling these. All right, there we go. So let's get into it. So the very first card is going to be the theme of the day. So this is with the intention of what is my theme for today. So I have the Death card reversed. All right, so this is going to be the overall energy to focus on, and it's essentially setting the tone for me today. Now, card number 2 is going to be the creative block, or the potential obstacles or things that I need to overcome. So here we have the 6 of Wands reverse. Man, they are really laying into me today, huh? And then finally, card number 3 is called the creative spark. So these are going to be the opportunities available and the guidance for inspiration for today. So we have the Hierophant reversed. All right, so if you don't read reversals, you can always flip these around. You don't have to read reversals. I don't mind reading reversed cards. I feel like it's something that works in my practice. So just, again, do what feels right and good for you and your practices. So let's talk about how I would read these cards for my daily inspiration. So card number 1, I'm going to flip it over so you guys can kind of read it a little bit easier. So here we have the theme of the day. So this is the overall energy to focus on that is going to set the tone. Now the Death card. Not always one of these cards that's seen as very positive, but I do like that these cards have a little bit of like I guess maybe a moniker or something associated with them. So I'm willing to let go of a past version of myself. So when we put this card in reverse, I do like that these cards also have the inclusion of what a reverse meaning would be. So this is talking about an inability to move forward, a fear of beginnings, repeating negative patterns, resisting change, and dependency. So my tone for today is that maybe I haven't really been able to move on from certain maybe elements in my life or certain lessons in my life. There may be a fear of beginnings. There may be maybe I'm repeating some negative patterns. I'm resisting some sort of change. There's a dependency. Now, just to kind of tattle on myself a little bit, because these cards are always telling on me and telling y'all my business, I will say, as someone who is very earth and fixed in their natal chart, I tend to be a little bit resistant to certain changes. I can be very challenged by changes to my routine. My expectations for myself and my performance, no matter what it is that I'm doing, are always very high. And these are things that I've been looking at within myself. I'm not going to say changing because I'm not very good at just changing things about myself. So I think that this is kind of saying like there's some resistance. And for me as a daily inspiration, I know that I get very set in my ways and set in things that like I have certain expectations about. So Like for today, it's Sunday. This is usually a day where I'm trying to kind of get everything ready for myself for the week. Because again, I do run two very different businesses. One is extremely busy. The other one is more lax. Like this is more about just vibes, just hanging out, enjoying things. There's not a lot of pressure in this element of what I do, but then in the other element of the other sort of work that I do, there's a lot of pressure to perform. There's a lot of pressure to make sure I'm getting it right every single time. And so as someone that perhaps needs to consider different options that may ease up the load on my other business, I have been a little bit more resistant to change just due to some of the experiences that I've had previously. So I think that this is kind of saying like, this is setting the tone. It's like, maybe I'm just not moving forward in certain areas of my life. Like, there's just certain things, again, we all probably do this where we plan our life to look a certain way or to feel a certain way, and we get kind of stuck in that. And so I know I can be a little bit rigid when it comes to changes. So I think that this card is just kind of calling me out a little bit and saying like, hey, you got to move on from some things. And maybe even emotionally, I've been hanging on to a lot of things that I need to kind of process and just kind of let that shit go, so to speak. All right, so card number 2 is the creative block. So this is going to be the potential obstacles or things to overcome. We have the 6 of Wands reverse, and I'll just kind of change it up so you guys can kind of see what card it is. Now, this is a card that usually talks about success, victory, winning, like, things really coming together. But this is a card that is saying that my potential obstacles, my creative block is failure, losing, a disadvantage, disgrace, playing second fiddle, loss, defeat. And I will say these are all things that I'm currently not saying grappling with, because that makes it seem like this is something that is actively going on in my life. This is maybe something that is always in like the back of my mind of not feeling like I am enough, not feeling like I am good enough, insert adjective enough. And I've probably have felt it. And so that is something that I have been currently experiencing, kind of feeling. I know it's Virgo season and we tend to be a little bit more critical of ourselves. And I have been, where I'm like, should I be doing more of this? Should I be doing more of that? How can I fix this? How can I make this better? Without really sitting down and kind of making an action plan, or trying to kind of sit with myself and say like, okay, well, I have these things down pat, so maybe I shouldn't really focus on all these other elements or things like that maybe make me feel inadequate in some way. So my creative block is that it's my sense of failure. It's my sense of, not feeling like I am doing enough, or feeling a little bit hunted. And again, as someone that has and holds themselves to very high standards, this is something I really do struggle with. So I am very much feeling this kind of energy. The woe is me this week, you guys. And today especially, we all have different days where the emotions like go and they flow. So for the creative spark, we have opportunities available and our guidance for inspiration. So again, another reverse card. So here, I'm going to just flip it over so you guys can kind of see. It's the Hierophant, which is typically a card that talks about, traditions, about like the conventional, the, religion, beliefs, like knowledge, things like that. So with this being reversed and this being the opportunities available or the guidance for my inspiration this week, today is challenging tradition, having an unconventional lifestyle, looking at, not having a traditional relationship, not falling for what is quote unquote traditional, reversed roles, non-conformity. And there's a little bit of a rebel, I totally love this energy. So here, this is my spark. This is my guidance, is that I'm not meant to do what would look like it makes the most sense for everybody else. And I can tell you, my two businesses are completely not what I'm sure a lot of people would have expected or anticipated from me, because I've been told I'm to fill in the blank, to do something. I remember when I, joined the army at like 17 years old, I was told by a lot of people that I was too girly or too pretty or too, whatever, to go into the military. And then I worked in biomedical research, and I was being told the same thing. It was like, you're too this, or you're too young, or you're too, blah, 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 blah. And now with what I do, where people are like, well, you're too smart to be doing that kind of work, or you're too, blah, blah, blah. And it's very interesting because I feel like this is my energy a lot of the time, is that I will challenge traditions. I will have a very unconventional lifestyle. I am a first generation Mexican American daughter of immigrants. And anyone that can kind of relate to that sort of energy knows that there are a lot of expectations placed on women in different cultural ethnicities. And so I know for me, my traditional expectation is to be a certain or particular way. And I have totally gone against that as much as possible. Not because I was just trying to be different. It's just my soul was like, I'm not here to do any of that. I'm not here to worry about those things. So this is kind of saying like, I choose which traditions I embrace and how I do it. And that's very much something that I have totally taken and made my own in my own life. So I think that this is a really nice way to kind of check in, especially, if you're someone that struggles with just like a one card reading to kind of gauge what the energy is going to be for the day. I think that this gives you a little bit more to be like, yeah, you know what? I have been doing that, by telling you like where you've been kind of creatively blocked and then what your creative spark will be. So I hope that you enjoyed this kind of quick and dirty, like daily inspiration spread and my little reading. I want to say thank you so much for joining me. I hope you like and enjoy the things that I've posted. I appreciate you taking the time out to spend a few minutes with me. So please take it easy, take care, and as always, make good choices out there. Bye.